Okay. So, as I was saying, you're going to have on your quiz, and you will have, I will give you time to ask questions about the quiz prep that I posted. You're going to have something like, what is the cardinality for a set such that, set A, such that it's a set of all x's that belong to the natural numbers and this. And solve that equation. So it's a set of all natural numbers. What's the answer? Infinite, because there's an infinite number of natural numbers. How many answers are there? But it also has to solve that. So now you have to do the algebra on this. The first step to solve this is to simplify this left-hand side. There's two like terms. So we get 5x plus 10 minus 3x. On the left side of equals, we end up with what? 2x plus 10. 2x plus 10 equals 40. We gather all the like terms. All the x's are being combined, and there's nothing to combine with the 10. So now we want to separate the whole goal, solve for x. We want to get x all by itself. That means if you're not at x, you got to go to the other side. Because to undo, here's the whole concept about solving an equation. You want to undo what's being done to that x. If there's addition, we subtract. Subtraction, we add. If there's multiplication, we divide. If there's division, we multiply. The first thing you undo is this addition. Because if you go straight to division, you would have to divide the whole thing. So it's nicer to just subtract the 10 first. And you end up with just 2 times x equals 30. So you always want to do that next step as undo addition or subtraction. And now we should just have multiplication left over. It's 2 times x. So we're going to undo multiplication by dividing both sides by 2. And you get 2 divided by 2 is 1. So 1 times x is just x. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So 15 solves this problem. So the cardinality. Now here's you got to remember what you were being asked. You just spent all that time solving for x, and x is equal to 15. 15 is not the answer. The cardinality of the set is what? 1. Because the question is asking you, how many numbers are in this set A? And again, I didn't put that up there. I just want to give you a chance to practice the algebra. But the cardinality of the set is equal to the x's that are belonging to the natural number, and they satisfy that. Well, there's only one natural number that satisfies this equation. So when you do the quiz today, the cardinality of set A, once you get it all done, is just one answer. There's only one number in that set. Okay? Have you watched any, and when I say any, I mean any court, testifying or even any congressional hearing when somebody goes up and has to answer questions? They never just answer the question. If it's a yes or no question, they just go on left. It's like they start explaining stuff. The question is just yes or no. If you ever get pulled over and an officer asks you a simple yes or no question, don't start explaining what's going on at home and you were under this stress and you had to get to the air. And they're not asking that question because they don't care. They just want to know if you're just going to answer that one question. They're trying to get more out of you. I'm getting my deep conspiracy. Just seriously, it saves time. It does save time. I get lost when I used to ask my daughter a question and she would start to tell me stuff. I'm going, You're going so fast and you're telling me so much, I have no idea what you started with. Because that's what she would do. And she has tons of information. And I'm going, I'm lost. I cannot absorb that much information all at once. So let's start slower at the beginning. How's your weekend? You know, solving this. You have multiplication equal to zero. The only way you're going to get zero is if you multiply each, whatever these are, one of them has to be zero. The only way you can multiply a number times something and get zero, it has to be zero. If A times B is equal to zero, then either this factor has to be zero or the other factor has to be zero. Somebody has got to be a zero to make a zero. So since it's already factored, then either this x could be the zero, or the x plus 1 could be the zero, or the x minus 9 could be the zero. Solve for x? No, that one's done. If I plug in 0, 0 times 0 plus 1 times 0 minus 9, I get 0 times 1 times negative 9. Well, 0 times 1 is 0. 0 times negative. And that factors a 0. It makes the whole thing 0. Subtract 1. This x would equal to negative 1. If I plug negative 1 in for x, that's negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1 makes this factor. That's my 0 now. Negative 1 minus 9, that's a negative 10. But because that factor is 0, when you multiply those three things, it equals 0. So one of those is 0, I get the 0. That's why when taking algebra, the most important thing when you solve polynomial equations, factor it, let each factor equal 0, and then solve. This one would be positive 9. So there's three answers. 0 makes it work, negative 1 makes it work, and 9 makes it work. Now let's put it into the context of today. If this was set B, and set B was equal to the set of all x's such that x belongs to the natural numbers and x has to solve that equation. How many solutions would there be, or what would the cardinality of set B equal to? Only one. Because how many natural numbers? This right here, there's an infinite, but it also has to work here. Is 0 a natural number? Nope. Because the first natural number is 1. 0 is not there. Is negative 1 a natural number? Nope. Is 9 a natural number? So the only natural number that solves this, that is in this set, is 9. So there's only one number in the set. That's cardinality. How many actual numbers are in the set? And again, you're not going to get this level on today's quiz. You're not going to be doing algebra. But when are you going to be doing it? We're leading into that with the exam as we go. It's going to be after the 3-week drop date. So we'll have 2 quizzes in, and then the drop date happens. I wish we could get the test before the drop date so you have more information. I don't want anybody to drop. That's never been my goal. I know there's teachers out there, they want to scare everybody away so that fewer students sit here. I don't. Absolute value. An absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. So that means left and right. So when I start this with an arithmetic or an algebra class, I'll go behind my hand. The absolute value, some number behind my hand comes out as an 8. We know that we usually make it either positive or negative. So what number could be behind my hand that comes out as 8? Positive 8 or negative. Those two numbers are 8 units in distance away from 0. Okay? So when you have an absolute value, you're playing left and right side of 0. So here's a simple phrase that I would try to get students to work with when they deal with absolute value. We're going to keep it a little simple. It's just an absolute value equal to a number, and you're going to need to write 2 equations because there's 2 possible answers. Left side, right side. So you need to write 2 equations. The first equation you're going to write as if. What you see is what you're going to write. Exactly as if. X equals 8. Nothing changed. That's one answer. X is 8. Then the second equation, you're going to transcribe this, you're going to translate it into an equation that's as opposite. So you do it as is and it as opposite. Because that's the left-hand side of 0. Exactly as is going to take us to the right, as the opposite side takes us left. So this x is equal to the opposite of that number. And then you get, now they took 2 equations, you solve it. And since x is already by itself, it's those are my 2 answers. I'm not going to write it all out, but if this was a cardinality problem, and it was all natural numbers, there's only one because -8 doesn't count. Now, I'm not trying to get you, the answer is going to be 1 all the time. No, that's what these are just coming out with because of that algebra. Another absolute value. So absolute value equals 12. So I do that. Guess what's behind my hand again? Don't think about the x minus 2. What comes out and gives positive 12? It could be a positive 12 or a. So that's how we do the as is and as opposite. That's how we split it up. This right here, the as is, that x minus 2 could equal positive 12, or this x minus 2 as opposite, that x minus 2 could equal -12. It's the opposite of the other side. Don't change what you're taking out of the absolute value. Change that. It equals a -12 or a positive 12. X would equal a 14. We add 2. X would equal a -10. Watch how we plug it in. If I plug in -14, it's like positive 14. Absolute value of 14 minus 2 is supposed to equal 12. I'm going to substitute in 14. 14 minus 2 is 12. And the absolute value of 12 is 12. So when I plug in the 14, it works. And when I plug in the -10, absolute value, -10 minus 2, absolute value is supposed to come out at positive 12. What's -10 minus 2? So, yeah, so it's negative value or absolute value of -12. And the absolute value of -12 is positive 12. So that's how you solve absolute value problems. You simplify what's around the absolute value, and then you split that up into two problems. As is, as opposite. And then you solve.
So what are they looking for in the number 4? Like, what's the answer?
Just the way it is right now. What is X mean? What value of X solves that inequality equation? X would equal -10 and a 14. Those are the two answers that make work. If this was a cardinality question like you're going to see on the quiz today, X belongs to the set of natural numbers. Out of those two, which one's natural? 14. So the only number in the set of the natural numbers would be the 14. Therefore, how many numbers are in the set? 1. So the cardinality of this kind of set is 1. But the practice here was more about, can you do that algebra? That's I don't get to this during this class right now because you're not going to get a quiz on these. I'll cover them at the beginning at 9:30. But right now, just 2 more examples because of the way it's worded. I don't want anybody throwing something at me when you see the quiz. So I'm going to cover right now the wording. And I want you to pay attention to some wording here. Set R is equal to the set of all x's such that X belongs to the set of natural numbers and -12 is less than or equal to X, which is less than, let's go with 100 and X is divisible by 5. X is divisible by 5. Okay. So first, it's a natural number. What would it start with? 1. So then we go off from here. It's a natural number, so X starts with 1, 1, 2, 3, so on. So this gives us, we know it's going to start with 1, so this -12 less than or equal to, it really doesn't matter because we're still going to start with 1, 2, 3. But this tells us we're going to stop where? We're going to stop at 100, but are we going to actually equal 100? No, it's not going to equal because there's no equals here. So we're not actually going to use the 100. And then it says it is divisible by 5. So we only care about the numbers that are divisible by 5. So if you're looking at the set of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you can write them all out. 11, 12, keep on going until you get to that 100, and then circle the ones that are divisible by 5 and count them up. Or look at it this way. What's the first number divisible by 5? 5, and then 10, 15, 20. So 5 times 1. So that would be the first one. 5 times 1. And then when you get to the 100, that 100 would be 5 times 20, but we don't want you. So we don't want 5 times 20, so we actually would stop at 95, which would be 5 times, what is it? 5 times 2, 19. So there would be 5 times 1 to 5 times 19. How many are there? 19 of them. So the cardinality of the set would be 19 of them. Or you write them all out. And you don't even you don't have to write the 1, 2, 3 in between. You can just write out 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 55, 70, 75, 80, 85, 99, 95. Then make sure you read carefully. I'm going to knock this down just a bit. Less than or equal to 50. X is not divisible by 5. So is divisible and then is not divisible. So it's a natural number, it's a counting number between negative 12 to 50. So natural numbers would start at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 40, 45, 46, 47, 47, 48. I didn't pass this part of elementary school right now. 47, 48, 49, and then 50. But we don't want the ones that are divisible by 5. So we wouldn't want you, we wouldn't want 10, we wouldn't want 15 or 20, we wouldn't want 45, we wouldn't want 50. So we start with how many numbers would there be that satisfy this much? 50. So this much, if this was all you're asked, natural numbers, negative 12, less than or equal to x. So we're talking about 1 to 50. And then from 1 to 50, you eliminate the multiples of 5. So you're going to eliminate 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. If you have to write it out, then you can count. You're going to eliminate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers. So there's 50 counting numbers here. There's 10 multiples of 5. 50 minus 10. There is a cardinality of 40 numbers. So the cardinality of that set is 40. But the purpose of showing you that is one would be is divisible and the other one is not divisible. Just read it carefully. That's the most important thing I want to get across. Read it carefully. Be surprised how many points you've lost in your educational lifetime because you don't read the problem carefully. I know I'm a horrible reader. That's why I collect comic books, because they have little pictures there that help me understand what the heck is going on the page. You know how many times I wrote book reports on the same book. I got away with writing a book report. Back in the 70s, they released a compendium of Saturday Night Live skits. I wrote a book report on Saturday Night Live skits. It had a whole bunch of pictures. I wrote a book report on the Son of Origins of Marvel Comics when I was a kid, because it had a bunch of pictures. That's just where I was, which I still where I am. Okay, any questions? Okay, let's look at this one before we go. If it's base 6, 35 base 6, this is the what place? That's the ones place. The onesies. And then this is the 60. So you have a 5 in the onesie, and then you have a 3 in the 6's place. So this would be 3 times the 6's plus 5 times the 1's. So that gives us 18. And then plus 5. So in base 10, this is 23 base 10. Just like when you convert base 10, if you have 3,287, that's 3 times 1,000, because that's the thousandths place. So this is 3 times a 6, because that's the 6th place in base 10. That's 2 times 100, because that's the 100th place. And that's 8 times 10, because that's the 10th place. And that's 7 times 1, because that's the 1's place. So when we come back, we'll do that base 4, and then that base 592, which is base 10, and do the base. And we'll also go over the quiz prep. How long that get, man?